When I was a freshman in Omaha Central High, I was so skinny and short and underdeveloped. There was a girl who had a name I still remember, Zibby Brewington. She was a senior, and a very popular senior. And I was a nerd sophomore. And somehow she agreed to go with me to a party in one of the outbuildings of the Omaha Country Club. I wanted to impress this blonde goddess. And so I pretended to smoke, which I didn't. And she was wearing a net dress, and I set her on fire. I was quick-witted, and I threw Coca-Cola all over her. And that's the last I saw of the blonde goddess. I know a nerd when I see one, and there are a lot of nerds here. I've been reasonably fortunate. I don't think I'm a perfect husband. I'm lucky to have had as much felicity as I got. And I always needed a certain amount of toleration from the fair sex. I started wrong, and I never completely fixed myself. I should tell this group about, you come here as a cult to talk to a cult leader. I want to take you back in history. You'll see what an inferior person you're now trusting. When I was a freshman in Omaha Central High, there was a friend of the family near my age, and she had gone off to summer camp in the year before, and she met a blonde goddess, a voluptuous 13-year-old, and I was a skinny, underdeveloped, whatever, and so forth. You got to take my blonde goddess to this dance. And so I wanted to impress this blonde goddess. And so I pretended to smoke, which I didn't. And she was wearing a net dress, and I set her on fire. But I was quick-witted, and I threw Coca-Cola all over her. At due time, the fire was out, and that's the last I saw of the blonde goddess. And then I said, well, I got to make more time with the girls. And I wanted to get a letter in Omaha Central High. Of course, I was no good at any sport. So I went down to the rifle range and learned they gave letters in rifle shooting. And I was so skinny that I could shoot 100 every time in the sitting position by sitting cross-legged and putting one elbow on each foot. Try it, you'll break your neck. But I could shoot 100 every time, so I was a good rifle shooter. They gave me a letter. But I was so skinny and short and underdeveloped that it went from one armpit to the other. And I walked down the hallway trying to impress the girls, and they would turn their head. But what they said was, how did a little skinny, unattractive little run like that get a letter? And then I had another experience. There was a girl who had a name I still remember, Zibby Brewington. She was a senior, and a very popular senior. And I was a nerd sophomore, and somehow she agreed to go with me to a party in one of the outbuildings of the Omaha Country Club. Perhaps because she liked one of my friends who was a big strapping fellow. And so I took Zibby for this party in my 1934 Ford, and it sleeted and got rainy and so forth. I managed to stick the Ford in the mud, and I couldn't get out of it. Zibby and I had to walk for several miles through sleet and mud. It was the last I ever saw of Zibby Brewington. And then my car stayed in the mud, and I neglected to put in an antifreeze, and the temperature went way down suddenly, and the block broke. And of course it was too expensive to fix the car. I lost my car, and my father wouldn't buy a new one because he said, why should I buy a new car for a guy who's dumb enough not to put antifreeze in? This is the person you're coming for miles to see. And so I didn't get a new car. And my life was just one long litany of mistakes and failure. And it went on and on and on. And politics, I ran to be the president of the DSIC in grade school, the Dundee School Improvement Association. I had the most popular boy in the school as my campaign manager. I came in second by miles. I was a total failure in politics. There's hardly anything I succeeded at. Now, I tell you all this because I know a nerd when I see one, and there are a lot of nerds here. People tell stories like mine, and I want you to feel it's not hopeless. Just keep trying. Well, I'm telling jokes. I might tell one of my favorite stories about a plane that's flying over the Mediterranean. The pilot's voice comes on. He says, "A terrible thing has happened. We're losing both engines. We're going to have to land in the Mediterranean." And he says, "The plane will stay afloat for a very short time, and we'll be able to open the door just long enough so that everybody can get out. And we have to do this in an orderly fashion." He says, "Everybody who can swim, go to the right wing and just stand there. And everybody who can't swim, go to the left wing and just stand there." And he says, "Those of you on the right wing, you'll find a little island in the direction of the sun. It's 2 miles off, and as the plane goes under, just swim over to the island, you'll be fine. And for those of you on the left wing," he says, "I want to thank you for flying Air Italian." Oh yeah. Garen wants me to repeat the story of Max Planck. And according to this story, Max Planck, when he won the Nobel Prize, was invited to run around Germany giving lectures. And a chauffeur drove him. And after he'd given the lecture about 20 times, the chauffeur had memorized it. And he said, "You know," he says, "Professor Planck, it's so boring. Why don't you just sit in the audience and I, the chauffeur, will give your talk." And so the chauffeur got up and gave Max Planck's talk on physics, and some professor stood up and asked some terrible question. And the chauffeur said, "Well," he says, "I'm surprised that in an advanced city like Munich, people are asking elementary questions like that." He says, "I'm going to ask my chauffeur to answer that one."